Happy Sabbath, everybody. Guess it's been a little bit since I've been here, but it's definitely great to be back. I didn't know we were sharing about mission experience so much, but I guess it's fitting that I share mine too. But I just want to quickly address the talk that's been going around and make it official about what I'm doing. Yeah, definitely, I did get new shoes, as you can notice. Thank you guys for noticing. It's great. Um, no, but we all know what we're talking about as to where I'm going after this. Yes, I will be going to Leatherby's after church for sure. If anyone wants to join, you can definitely come too. Um, but yes, I will be leaving Sacramento for a little bit, I guess. I'm going to be transferring to PUC to study theology from now on. Um, this sudden change came about. All right, then I'll just keep this on. But just to give you some context as to what I did, I went to International Kayam this past July for about a month. 24th batch, actually. Actually, just show of hands, has anyone been to International Kayam by chance? I know Danny and Pastor Keating, but anyone else? No? Okay. That's cool. But I was 24th batch, and we went to Mongolia, as you can see. I'm sure you guys know where it is, but it's below Russia and right above China. This is our batch, 22 of us at Camp Cedar Falls before we left. I'm right there, Pastor Keating is right there. And this is us in Chinggis Khan Airport in Ulaanbaatar, Mongolia. We just call it UB because it's kind of hard to pronounce. But this is UB, a little bit, just one picture of us. As you can see, it doesn't look too different from your normal, I guess, East Asian city. Very urbanized, very crowded. Traffic is horrible, these kind of things. But don't get me wrong, Mongolia is beautiful. This is just a couple pictures of one of our hikes that we went on. I actually didn't get to go on this because I had traveler's diarrhea. But anyway, it's just beautiful pictures that I just wanted to share if you ever want to visit Mongolia. This is our city that my group went to. This was the first time in International Kayam where we actually split into two separate groups. So 11 of us went to Erdenet, another city, and 11 of us went to Hutur, this city. The population is around like 9,000 people. So it is very, very... it is very, very small city. I think Erdenet, the other city, was around 100,000 people. So this was in the countryside, and there's not too much to do out there, but kids definitely have their fun. And this is kind of our living condition. This was the guys' room. So there were 5 of us in this room, just kind of sleeping like chopsticks, just one after another. It was very tight. It's just tile. There's like one mat on there, but I think my back definitely got stronger just because of that. This is the bathtub. You can see all our cosmetic products and whatnot, but all of us share this bathtub. This is the church that we went to. This is actually not the church, but they rented this building out just so we could do our activities there. They actually just meet in a house because they can't really afford to have a building for itself as a church. This is just a little bit of what we did. This is us teaching Korean, or maybe English, I'm not sure. But I think they're one of those. They're both either English or Korean. One of the activities that we did. And we also did VBS as usual. And this is, you can see the whole church. It's not that big, but we definitely made do of what we had. And this is just the entire Hutur people. I think I'll just use this. When I signed up for International Kayam, I didn't really think too much about it. Pastor Keenan was kind of just like, oh, you should go because you're not doing anything this summer. So So I was like, yeah, why not? I'll just check it out. I've heard good things about it. I want to travel a little bit. They're going to Mongolia, so why not? Why not go for it? But when I was there, I was voted as director for one of the groups, and this was more than I thought I would be doing. I thought we were just going to be, following the pastor around and doing whatever he tells us to do, but in fact, there was a lot more responsibility than I had imagined. But I was cool with it. I knew I didn't have any expectations of what it was going to be like, but I knew one thing for sure is that I wanted to go to just serve. And I remember praying like a month before Kayam, just saying like, God, use me however you need me to. I really want to do everything that I possibly can to help these people. And I really meant it when I prayed that, but I truly believe that God really meant it too when he said, okay. The very first day that we got there, I think it was around we had landed at the airport at 2 a.m. and then drove 3 hours. And so we were trying to find out and plan the events that we were going to do. And they were so morning worship was supposed to be at 6 a.m. And so I said, okay, that's fine. We can wake up early. But I said, what do we do for praise or anything like that? They're like, oh, yeah, you guys decide. You do whatever you want. I said, okay. Do you have any songs that you guys know you want to sing? It's like, yeah, you can throw a couple Mongolian songs in there. I'm like, I don't know any Mongolian. But I said, okay. So we tried, and we sang. I tried to pick very simple songs, some old ones, like Shout to the Lord, these kind of things. And so I asked about, speaking of morning worship, who's going to lead out in that, and they said, oh, yeah, you guys should give your testimonies, each and every one of you, starting tomorrow morning. And so I said, all right. And so we just kept planning these activities, and I said, we tried to figure out a schedule of who's going to give testimony when, but, I thought since I'm the director, I should, set the tone. I should go first, even though I didn't prepare anything. So the next morning came, and I was scrambling to pick some songs, and I got it done, and then I went up right after to give my testimony, just very, impromptu, and we got it done, and we left, and I was like, okay, we're good. And it went okay. And then after that, we went to do our morning exercise a little bit. And in the beginning, some people were just complaining because, it was kind of just joking around, like, oh, I don't want to exercise, what are we doing? And it was cool, but I think the negative environment and the atmosphere kind of got to certain people, and it started to escalate a little bit. And it got to a point where, as the workouts started to get harder, and the people started to complain more, and nobody wanted to budge an inch. One person actually had forgotten to mention that they had asthma, and they was very short of breath, and they actually got cramps in both of their legs. And so she was just crying and sitting on the ground, and the guy who was leading out was just, he felt so bad, and he was crying, and he walked off, and other people just disappeared out of nowhere, and we couldn't find them. And I'm just standing there, and I looked at my friend. I'm just like, this is day one. What are we doing here? And at that moment, I knew that this was not going to be easy. But it was okay because I didn't expect it to be easy by any means. It's a mission trip. You're going there to serve. You're not going there to be comfortable. And so I was ready. I was ready to give everything that I had. And I definitely tried my best there. I was in charge of doing praise, sometimes multiple times a day. I was in charge of waking everybody up at 5:30, making sure they got out the house by 5:40. I was VBS games leader. I taught advanced English. I taught the guitar class, and everything else that directors have to do as well. And I even, talking to my members one-on-one late into the night, I did that too. And in the beginning, I wanted to do those things. I had a lot to give, I thought, and I gave everything that I could. But at the same time, my mindset was, this is supposed to be hard. I'm supposed to struggle. But I think I forgot that you're not supposed to struggle alone. You're supposed to struggle with God. And I had forgotten that fact. And as I kept doing these tasks, day after day, no rest, my faith started to dwindle a little bit too. And I felt very alone and that I had nowhere to go, no one to turn to. Um, Slowly, I just said, let's just put on a face for the kids. Just be excited, even when you're teaching. Just try your best, but that doesn't last. And if you're there for a month, it's very hard to keep that up if it's really not coming from your heart. But slowly and steadily, I started to fall, and it got to a point where, as a director, trying to manage everybody and helping everyone with their problems, I really forgot about myself. And there was one point where I just wanted to really just give up and just say, forget it, I'm done. You guys do you. You don't want to listen to me, that's fine. You don't want to wake up, you can be late, I don't care. Uh, I just really wanted to be alone. And every moment that I could, I just went into my room and I laid down because I just didn't want to talk to anybody, and I had nothing left to give. This was one of my lowest moments, I would say, in my short time on these 20 years of my life. But it's something that I've never felt before. I really wanted to go home so badly, and everybody around me, my group, was saying, "Oh, I want to go home. I want to go home." And as a director, I was like, you shouldn't say that because it might ruin the team morale or something like that. But inside, I really felt the same exact way. And I was like, you have no idea how much I want to go home to. But I couldn't express those thoughts because I felt that, as the leader, I have to hold a certain amount of responsibility and to lead in that sense. But slowly and steadily, like I said, I started to fall, and I wasn't taking care of myself and my faith too. I wasn't praying, even though I was in charge of doing exercise and devotions in the morning and picking the passages. I just kind of flipped through it and quickly picked it, and I was watching the time as people were reading their devotions, and I wasn't really focusing on my own devotions. There was no time for me to take care of myself and for God to take care of me. So there came a time where we did this evangelistic series where certain people just speak every single day for 5 days. And at the very end, it's an altar call. And I got the opportunity to speak on that very last day. And this was where I was pretty much just completely out of it. I didn't want to do anything. But luckily, they have this rule where if you're speaking that day, you don't have to do any of the activities for the whole day. You're just supposed to, focus on your sermon and pray and talk to God about it. And so I was looking forward to that day so much. I woke up around like 9 a.m. instead of like 5:30, and they were still asking me like, "Oh, director, what should we do about this?" I was like, "I'm not a director today. You guys figure it out." And I was trying to work on my sermon about baptism, and baptism obviously is a very, very big deal. And I'd never done altar call or anything like that, and it's very nerve-wracking. I don't know if you guys have ever experienced it, but just the fact that you might say your stuff and just nobody moves, it's kind of scary. But as the day went on, I continued to prepare and preparing my mind because I felt empty, and I really didn't think that I could go up there, smile, have good energy, and just present what God wanted me to. But at the end, I trusted that God would fulfill me for that one moment, for just that little bit of extra time, so I could deliver the sermon and deliver the message that He wanted me to. I understood that with altar calls and places like this, it's a big deal. It's a really big deal. This might be the first time these people have ever heard about God and been given the opportunity to confess their faith. Actually, if you see, this woman right here is the pastor of this church, and she had told us that they had been praying for 11 years for some type of missionary group or anything like that to come and help them out. And we had happened to be that group, to be that first group to come and help them. And so this was a very, very meaningful experience for us. And on day 3, I believe, one person actually did come and say they wanted to get baptized. And that was such a timely event for us, for our group, as far as morale goes. But the day came for me to give my baptism sermon. And before in training, I had talked to one of my batchmates, we call it batchmates, and he's a theology major, and he really convicted me about career path, and he said some words that really touched me. And so before I left for International Kayam to Mongolia, I had prayed to God. I said, if this is where you want me to go, I've been thinking about this for a little bit, but if this is where you want me to go, you got to show me something. You have to show me some sort of sign. And this is what I prayed to him. And throughout Mongolia, I did continue to pray that. And I thought, maybe it is the altar call, maybe not, who knows? It's a very emotional event, so we'll see. So I got up there, and I was giving my sermon, and the guy was translating for me. I think I actually have a picture. Yeah, this is me giving my sermon. And it came time to the very end, where we say our things that we always say. If you feel that God's impressing upon you, please come up to the front. And when I said that first sentence, nobody moved. And I was like, man, of course this would happen, But there was more, and I just kept going and saying the stuff we always make fun about, like, don't worry about the person next to you, it's between you and God, these kind of things. And I said everything that I could possibly think of. And we played a song at the end, and at the end of it all, 7 people had come up to receive Christ that day. And they had come up, and I had asked my Kaya members to come up and pray for them. And as they were praying, these people that came up were just in tears, like they just could not stop crying. And our Kaya members as well could not stop crying either. The whole time, there wasn't many words to be said because they were just filled with so much tears. One boy specifically, his Mongolian name is Yurut Bayer. We called him Jeremy, but I had gotten pretty close to him throughout the entire month, and he'd just like show me around as we're walking to the church and like point out things and say it in Mongolian, and I try to repeat it for him, but I couldn't really say it. But I had gotten pretty close to him, and throughout this entire trip, and he had actually come up. He's 13 years old, and he came up that day, and out of everybody who came up, this guy was just bawling. Like, he could not stop crying. Kaya members tried to comfort him. I tried to comfort him. His mom tried to comfort him. Nothing worked. To the moment he left that building, he was still crying, and he couldn't say anything. And in that moment, I just felt so full. Something that I'd never really experienced before. I really felt that I had done something meaningful, and God had allowed me to experience that. Everything that I had experienced up to that point, even how low I was, even though how much I wanted to give up, in that moment, I forgot about everything. And the only thing I knew was that I was happy, and I felt that joy. All my burdens had disappeared, and I just, if God really took me that day, I would have been okay with it because I really felt content. This is something that I've never experienced before, and definitely this is what caused the big change in my life. Did I do that? This verse, I looked at it, and obviously I've seen this before, and I'm sure that you guys have seen it before too, or at least heard of it, but it really touched me because I really felt that everything that this verse was saying I had experienced. He answered me and delivered me from all my fears. All my fears were gone. All my worries were gone. And I really especially want to just point out verse 8, where it says, taste and see that the Lord is good. Just taste and see. I don't know about you guys, but for me, when I hear that verse and I hear taste and see, it almost sounds like a dare, I don't know who wrote this, but it sounds like he's just saying, just try it and see what happens. Like, see how good God is. Just give it one shot, even if you have nothing else to bet on. If you just taste it, you'll see. Everybody will see that the Lord is good. if there's, anything I can share from my personal testimony is that, if you're in question about if God is really good, or if you're trying to balance all these worries and all your fears of this life, let it be my testament that I have tasted that the Lord, and I have seen that the Lord is good. Maybe there's something that's just holding you back, and that you are afraid to take that extra step into just committing everything that you have in this life for Him. Maybe you're waiting for something to happen, something to push you and force you to live completely for Him. But I'll just be honest with you, I don't think that's ever going to happen, because nobody's ever going to force you to believe in God. God's definitely not going to force you. Satan's definitely not going to force you. Your parents can try, your friends can try, but ultimately it's your decision, and no one can make that decision but you. With my mission experience, I wanted to share this and what I experienced with many people, and I want you guys to experience this too. But for those of you who are on the sidelines about your faith, I want you guys to want to experience this too. Maybe there is no need. Maybe you feel there is no need for God in your life. Maybe you are good. Maybe you are comfortable. But I just want to say that there is so much more that you're missing out on. And I can't say more than that. And I can explain as much as I want about it, of what I experienced. But at the end of the day, it's up to you, and you have to choose. For me, it had to come to the point where I had completely nothing left to give, and nothing left, and nowhere else to go. But God was waiting there for me. He was waiting there for me, and He's waiting there for you to say, and He's just there saying, are you ready? Are you ready to experience me? And above all else, I'll just end with this. I think there's so much that we try and do by ourselves, and it's so tiring. And these last couple months, trying to figure out the transferring process and everything like that, it's been pretty stressful for me, but I've found new comfort and new peace that I've never experienced before. And it's not just a feeling, because you will feel stressed, you will feel sad and these kind of things, but it's that knowledge as well. To just know that God is there, that He is actually there. That there is someone out there actually looking out for you always. So God is waiting for each and every one of us, wherever you are in your faith, whether you've never even heard about it before, or maybe you do want to take that extra leap. Because in fact, it is a leap, and there's no other way around it. He's waiting there saying, are you ready? And as we go into time of reflection, I just want you to think about what your answer to that question will be. So, thank you.